Mm.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to Business Strategy Hour. We're excited you're here. I'm Shawna, and this is my co-founder and husband, David. Together, we run a remote operations agency and help business owners build companies that are easier to lead and easier to scale, ultimately more valuable. For over 12 years, we've worked with founders and growing businesses to improve operations through delegation, automation, systems, and implementation support, alongside our incredible US-based team, who sometimes join these sessions to share real case studies and behind-the-scenes insights from client projects. The goal of these weekly conversations is simple: to help business owners stop being the bottleneck or constraint in their business. So before we dive in, if anyone, if you're feeling comfortable, please feel free to unmute yourself and share with us what kind of business do you run, and what's one operational challenge you're currently facing. So yeah, I see Lucy. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey,
And if
Lucy. Nice to see
you'd
you.
like to share with us, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, it's amazing. I can actually make it on because it's at a different time today, although it's
Yeah.
late to me. So I'm Lucy. I'm calling in from the UK, and what I do, my business is I'm a solopreneur, and I am a coach and speaker. And I the coaching I do is peak performance and alignment. I also work with the subconscious mind. And that's what I speak to as well. In fact, I did a speech today about beliefs and science of getting rich and, what beliefs are stopping us from getting rich. So the bottleneck for me is just not having the organization of the back office stuff. And I know we've spoken about this a little bit, Shawna and David, in the past, and I'm getting there. And I would say I know once I get there, it's going to be so much easier because everything will be linked together. And yeah, I'm sure at some stage I'm going to be jumping in and saying, okay, now I need you.
Great. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
that, Lucy. I would have to say, and I'm not just saying this right now, today. I say this like a lot. I've said this throughout the years, that the most important part about, systems and processes is simply to be open to them. It's kind of a really wide subject, and so much is available, strategies, software, automation, but it really begins with rethinking how you think about it. Like because I know me, I can speak from my own personal experience from the past, long time ago. I wouldn't feel comfortable with delegating anything. I just felt like, oh, if that old what do you call that old saying? If you want to get it done right, you do it yourself. And that will only take you so far. So the most important thing is just to kind of be open and like learn, like kind of like what's available, what can be done. And I mean, I know that this space, with every year a new tool comes up, different things that we couldn't have imagined, when we first started. Well, we did imagine some of them, but they didn't exist yet. Some of these things some of the technology is now, me and Sean would talk, I was like, I wonder if this can happen or that, certain ways of automating and. So I think it's great that you're joining us and to just kind of share some thoughts.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing, Lucy. I just wanted to add that Lucy is incredible. You're incredible, Lucy, at what you do. I had the opportunity to join one of your challenges recently, and yeah, it's just really helped me in some of the things that I had a couple blockers on some things, and I just wanted to kind of brag on you a little bit. So,
Excellent.
all right. Well, I know we do have a couple people from our team on today to share, and I'd
Yeah.
like to. You want to go ahead?
Yeah. John Paul, would you like to introduce yourself and just share, uh, you know, your role and what you do with MTZ?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Hi, Lucy. Good to have you here. Um, yeah, my name is John Paul. I do copywriting with MTZ, and I'm part of the implementation team. So, in addition to copywriting, I also do web design, graphic design, emails, automations, and things like that, social media. And yeah, I'm a little bit of a jack of all trades, but you know, I love MTZ. I love being part of the team and seeing the systems in place that MTZ has created over the years, and then stepping into that, it was just a game changer as a team member. But I know that it also helps the business function like seamlessly, and also helps us to deliver for our clients as well. So glad
Yeah.
to be here.
Great. So just to give the viewers a little bit of context, like John Paul's on like the back end. He's like behind the curtain. He's like behind the website. He's on the very, very back end and kind of moving around levers and pushing things through and connecting things. And all of a sudden, on the other side, you see the magic happen and automate in front of you. So, and then I would like to also introduce Melissa. She's on the front end. She's more client facing. And Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. I'm one of the project managers for MTZ. And so I am the one who is working directly with one of our clients to help, gain their vision and, the goals that they have for the specific project. And then I help to execute that, delegate that with our team, work with our team to make sure goals are hit, essentially. I do the communications with the client, and then I work with our team in the back end to get all of the tasks executed on. And so, and then I also help to put systems in place for MTZ and also for our clients. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. So fits well into our discussion for today. And I'll just kind of, dive right into what you said. You said your main pain point right now is, setting up the back end, right? And, I think that's very common, especially as a solopreneur, right? And because not only are you trying to build the back end, but you're also running your business, right? So it's the mixture of both of those. And so I think it's really, it's hard to decide, okay, what do I set up first? What actually matters right now? What's overcomplicating things? Um, and so I think it's just important to remember that systems don't have to start huge. Sometimes the best back end system starts by just solving one repeated point of friction or pain point. And so, yeah, I guess just kind of like out of curiosity, when you say the back end setup, like what feels the heaviest for you right now?
I think getting everything organized. So I got, for example, I'll give you an example. I've got lots of Google documents and I've got some of them organized, and then there are some that I haven't got organized. And I love it with the ones I've got organized because I was like, I know where to find that one. That's under that tab and that's here. And I also, what I'm doing is going down to the bottom and deleting the ones I know I'm never going to use again. So that's what I'm doing at the moment to be able to organize it better, to be able to say, okay, now I can move forward with that. So that's one of the things, Melissa.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes sense. So do you feel like the first thing that comes to my mind is, some sort of a checklist or SOP essentially to help you organize those and eventually potentially have support do that for you. Um, does that seem accurate?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. It's having the different tabs of the perhaps the people I worked with and the stuff that they've given me and the documents that I've made for myself, and having those all on different bookmarks with different tabs and then the drop downs. So yeah, once that's all sorted, that's going to be much easier. Yeah.
I'd like
And
to
yes, and I can see a time where I'm going to have somebody that does all of that, not too in the too distant future. Yeah.
I'd like to chime in. I want to go even a little deeper. You mentioned like SOPs to help her get organized, right?
Mhm.
Let's kind of describe that because not everybody out there knows what an SOP is, and not everybody out there knows what an advanced SOP is. And I've seen very complicated SOPs for some of our clients. And so maybe Melissa, you can describe like what's one way that one of our SOPs could help Lucy and anyone watching this video.
Yeah. So, I mean, my suggestion for you, especially when, I mean, I guess for right now, for yourself doing it, but I was kind of thinking what would be helpful for when you're ready to have someone support you with it. What I always love is when someone can record a loom of yourself doing it. Like that would be, I think, a good starting point. Just record a loom of yourself doing it because then it's documented. And eventually you could have somebody else then take that loom and put it into an SOP. And so an SOP is a standard operating um, procedure. And so it literally lists out step by step what happens. That way, the goal is someone who's completely new to this process can jump right in and do it without any questions. That's the whole goal. That's my goal when I create an SOP is I want to make sure they don't have any questions, they can execute on it. So if I'm sick or someone else is out, it could be done. And so right now it's just in your brain. And so it'd be helpful to, be able to share it so you don't have to be the only one to do it. And so that's what I always suggest to clients is recording yourself doing it because it doesn't take you any extra time. You're going to be doing it anyway. Just record a loom of yourself doing it. And then that's when it can be documented into an SOP as well to follow right along.
You know what?
Um,
I'd like to add one more thing that I've seen Shawna build these out as well. There's an SOP, right? It's giving you instructions, and then in the text is hyperlinked. So that one doc that you're discussing, it's linked to where it actually lives. So
mhm.
if you're talking about something specific, some project that you're working on, and then it's you click that word or the name, and it'll take you to where that doc is. And so the instructions are linked to where the documents live, and I find that like super, super practical and efficient. You want to share?
Maybe that's kind of when you described complicated SOP, maybe you mean like complex. There's complexities and
Yeah.
it's super detailed and in the best way. So yeah, some of them they can be interlinked, and of course we love to have like screenshots are super helpful. And
In the SOP.
yeah, within the
Mm.
or you could also call it a step-by-step guide. Uh, and also I did want to mention some people might not be familiar with the software Loom, but basically it's a video. It's you sharing your screen, going through the whole steps, the whole process. So yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Melissa, I know you had some other things to share with us today. I'd love for you to continue.
Yeah, so my whole goal today when talking about systems is that systems are not just for large teams. And so I'm so glad you're on the call today, Lucy, being a solopreneur, because systems can be implemented at any stage, from a solopreneur to a growing organization. And so I just wanted to share some examples of, how us at MTZ, systems we've put into place, but I also want to make sure it ties into how it can work for you too as a solopreneur. And so, the main thing I really wanted to talk about today is like, and I want you to think is when things slow down in your business, where do they usually slow down? And one of the main answers that I typically hear is it slows down at me, the business owner. You know, People are coming to me with all of their questions. I'm the one who has to make all of the decisions. I'm the one who has to approve this post that I made myself to actually post it. I need to decide when it gets posted and all of that. And that is so common. And I mean, obviously it makes sense, right? And so I wanted to touch on that today because for us at MTZ, we started realizing internally that if every question went straight to Shawna or David, eventually the growth itself is going to create bottlenecks. And so what we did is we ended up creating what's called escalation charts. And I promise I'm going to connect to how this works for you too. So for us, and for anyone else who's watching who has a team, it was really helpful for us to put these escalation charts together, or we call them organization charts too, or org charts for short. We created these because not every question needs Shawna or executive involvement. You know, if we had clarity in place, it would reduce the interruptions. So we put these escalation charts together, and what it looks like for our team is we put them together for each internal department for MTZ. So we have a marketing organization chart. We have a leadership one. We have one for sales. But then we also have org charts for each of our clients. And so then all the team members on MTZ who serve that specific client, they're on that escalation chart. Everyone on MTZ who's on the leadership team, they're in that escalation chart. And it is laid out what everyone's role is, you know, and then from like top to bottom. And it's very clear, you know, where everyone lays in it. And my favorite part of these is we have an escalation flow on the right side. And it makes very clear if I have a general question, this is who I go to. And if they're out this day, here's the next person, and it's not Shawna. And then if they have a tech-related question, they go to this person. It reduces any sort of confusion. Everyone on our team now knows who to go to, and it's not automatically to Shawna. And, you know, people move faster when they know where to go, who owns what, and what decisions they can make independently. Now, for you as a solopreneur, this obviously looks different, but there is still escalation as a solopreneur. It just, like I said, it looks different. You know, right now, maybe you escalate, or I'm thinking you probably escalate unconsciously, you know, overthinking, redeciding, Googling, ChatGPTing, asking Facebook groups, staying stuck for a few days, waiting until you feel clear or feel ready. So what that actually is a broken escalation pathway. So, you know, sometimes I think when we hear escalation, we think of these escalation charts that I'm discussing right now. But really, escalation just means what happens when someone gets stuck, whether it's a large team, a small team, or just yourself. And honestly, I think, you know, as a solopreneur, you need these just as much, sometimes more, because there's nobody else naturally built into the business to help absorb those decisions, right? So here's some ways that escalation could work for you. Maybe you have a checklist before you publish. Maybe you do eventually bring on a VA who can filter questions first. Maybe you have a mentor you can turn to with, you know, some high level decisions. Maybe there's office hours with a coach, or my favorite, and I've used this as a VA myself too, because it's just me and my VA business. If I've been stuck on something for more than 20 minutes, I need to document the blocker and ask for input. And then also kind of what we've talked about before, creating SOPs for yourself, creating a template for repeat decisions. So I think a lot of solopreneurs can sometimes think that systems only matter once they hire a team, but often I find that systems are what make hiring possible in the first place. And I mean, that connects too to whether if you just have a couple of VAs as well. So I guess, you know, I'll kind of phrase that question to you that you can either answer if you feel comfortable, or just to think about, you know, when you get stuck in your business today, what usually happens? And I don't want to put the pressure on you to feel like you
No,
have
it's
to.
okay. No, and it's a good question. And if I get stuck, it's often there are things that are priorities, and it's like which is the highest priority. So I'm good at prioritizing, and I know what I'm working on, and I'm because I'm a peak performance coach, I can block things off and do all of those sorts of things. But then sometimes it's like, well, I know I need to get this thing done, but then I've forgotten to do something else, and then suddenly I have to whiz over there to do that thing. So what you're saying is writing that checklist out will be really good, because then I can, and I have some, but I don't have it for everything that I do. I check this and the links and the dates and the, if I'm going into automated emails or something like that, have I updated something or another? So those are the sorts of things. If I get checklists for those, and like you say, recording the loom would be good. Yeah. So I think that's where it gets stuck sometimes.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And honestly, I'm a mom, so that takes me like, to like the mom brain of like, you start cleaning the bathroom and you end up, doing something out in the kitchen or the living room, right? So it's really great to have, your original checklist of this was my plan for today to make sure I don't forget anything. So that's just where my brain went when you shared that. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. David and Shawna, I just want to make sure you can always jump in if you have something
Yeah,
to.
thank you. Yeah, I think that one thing that I come back to a lot, and maybe you might have already mentioned this when I had to pop out for a second, but is when anything that's like a repeatable task, that's something that you can create a system around. And so that's what I kind of just find myself like, if there's something like, oh, I already did this before. I've figured out the most efficient way to get it done. I can delegate this. This doesn't need to be me. And I'm always thinking about wanting to delegate more things, so then I could be focused on these other things that my team, you know, it's more, there's like just so many things that the team already helps with, and there's more. Even me, like I delegate so much, but there's so much more I could delegate. So anyways, I think that that's where just, okay, something that's repeatable, and then just sometimes it takes a little extra time up front to put together that step-by-step list, and even go over it with somebody. But once you do that, then you start finding yourself having more time to focus on other things.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is, another thing that can slow when things in the business, what can slow down things in the business, approvals.
Oh, yeah.
And, we ran into that internally too, because, and I'm going to talk specifically about design approvals here. At one point we hit a point where more designs were naturally just started landing on Shawna to approve, right? And if things can't move forward, the designs can't be posted or shared with the client until Shawna approves, right? And of course, that part is still going to be in place, but we found that, that's a lot to put on Shawna's plate. That's a lot for her to have to, a lot mental capacity, right? To remember all of the things to make sure that this is ready for a client or this is ready to be posted. And so we put a process in place here at MTZ for how to take that mental load off of her and save her time when she goes to approving these designs. So it's what we call it our design approval process. And again, I will tie this back to how you can do this as a solopreneur too. But the process we put in place, and I want to share this too for viewers who are watching who have teams. So when our original designer creates their design, we then have a second designer who looks over it, and they have their design eye to catch any things designy that could maybe need to be edited or approved. It then moves over to a project manager, whoever the project manager on the team is. And the project manager is going to make sure, okay, are we accomplishing the goal for the client? Are there any grammatical errors? If there's like dates and times on the design. Is it the correct date? Is the correct time on there? Are the correct time zones listed? Things like that. And then it moves to the executive review, as we call it, which goes to David and Shawna. Because now we have two more, instead of just going from the designer to Shawna and David, we have two more people in place to help. And it's an extra set of eyes to help catch errors. And again, so that way it's not all on Shawna to remember everything that we need to remember to make sure that this is good to go. And, but it's okay if you don't have, these four people to accomplish this, right? Even if you're as a solopreneur, or even if you have a small team, like it doesn't have to be four people. If you just have one VA, or I guess actually I'm going to start with, if let's say you have 2 or 3 VAs, obviously you might just have one person, middle person in the middle. But if you are, a solopreneur, or you just have one VA, it's going to look a little different. With solopreneurs, I guess for teams, systems help work move between people. But for you, a solopreneur, systems often help the work move between versions of yourself, essentially. And so without a system in place for this, you end up just redeciding things constantly. So with this approval process, let's say you create a design, and without a system in place, you then have to remember every single time, okay, what do I need to do before I post this? What do I need to do before I share this with somebody? And so this also kind of goes back to another checklist. I know it might seem small, but either a simple checklist or a simple review process that you can set up for yourself ahead of time, that's going to remove 100 tiny decisions over time from your brain and just save you that, that mental capacity right there. And so, and I want to reiterate too, our design process wasn't created because people were doing bad work. That's not at all why it was created. That's not the case. It was created so that everything didn't rely on one person to mentally catch every detail. And it's the same for you. With a system in place, it doesn't have to rely on you every single time to remember what I need to do before I share a design, publish a design. And if you have one VA who is, a part of this, they could have the checklist. Okay, am I including the correct brand colors and font? Do I have the correct date and information? Is it readable? Is it fulfilling the goal of, whatever the project is? And only once they've gone through that checklist and they've, have check for all of them, can they then share it with the client.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in. So, I just want to share that what Melissa's talking about, she's talking about in part, she's talking about accuracy and consistency. And so our motto at MTZ is ACE. It's the acronym A period, C period, E period, which stands for accurate, consistent, enthusiastic. And so we have a system for everything that we do. Because if we what we found a lot of success from relying on the system, and the system helps us like stay on task. Like we have a system, she's describing a system around accuracy. And she's also talking about a system around consistency. So you don't have to rethink it. I know I've spent a lot of time in the past and where it's like you're almost reinventing the wheel. You're like, I've already thought this through and I forgot where I was. And then I come back to it's like an ongoing project. And sometimes you have to you're kind of reinventing the wheel 6, 7, 8 times before you finish the project. So what you can do is rely on the system. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was in the recording studio and we were reverse engineering a, audio file that was on the drive, and we didn't label it correctly. So we were trying to reverse engineer what version is this. And I remember it was in this specific folder. It was called master. a master folder. And I said to myself, you know what? We didn't label this file correctly, but if it's in this folder, 100%, it wouldn't be in this folder if it wasn't like, at the master file. And so I relied on just the way that I do things in various areas of my life, my professional life. I personally rely on the system. Like there's a way of doing things, and I just revert to, okay, how would I have done it? And that's just one example. There's many things, projects that we're working on, and I was like, I don't rely on my memory as much as I rely on what I know how things are done. And if I can remember, like, okay, I know we do it this way, even if I forgot, this is the way it's done. So if the project is here, or I could look at whatever stage the project is in, and I can always fall back and say, okay, you know what? If it's here, it's because I had taken all the steps, and I know I do that consistently. So there's absolutely no way it could be another answer. This has to be the answer because this is the way we do it. And so I try very hard to stick to the system, and it works. It makes things easier.
Yeah.
uh,
For your future self.
for your future self. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, maybe we've said this a couple different ways or already said this, but even I'm talking about how I like to delegate everything, but there are some things that I still need to be responsible for, and I do create systems just for that, so then I don't have to recall every time. I'm always thinking about the most efficient way to do something. And so if I figure that out, I don't want to have to recall the next time I do it. So this is where and then there's like the mental load that can come with, and like maybe starting to get distracted with other things. And so yeah, it's just like having that system, that step-by-step list, even just for myself to follow.
Yeah.
Just really saves time, energy.
It's almost like it's almost like guardrails. I view it like guardrails. Like it just, I can rely on it. If we've made a decision that this is the way we're going to do things, and we're not going to veer from the path. And so every time we come back to that point, or that, that cross section or that phase of wherever the project is, the guardrails keep me on track. And then it really helps me, like, move the project forward. I'm not spending a lot of time rethinking, trying to remember. I can just look at a process doc, some notes, a board, a Slack message, just the way we do things, and it keeps, it almost like freezes like your thought process of where you were at that moment. Like hold, snapshot, just hold right there. Then, you come back a month later, and it's right there captured, and all the connections are there, whether it's links.
That's a great point, because some things are like monthly tasks, quarterly tasks, annual tasks. And, it's like, do you have to like come up with a new way to do it every time? No, you figure out that way, and you just take a couple extra minutes, during that time that you did it, and you figured out this great system, document that. And so come around next time, you're like, what was that? And then you just follow those steps, and then you be on your way. So, yeah.
And I'll just comment real quick on this, because when it comes to very technical things in your business, because I'm also an entrepreneur, but working with MTZ and being on the implementation team, when it comes to certain technical tasks, it takes time just to figure out how to do it. I think that's what Shawna and David were saying. And you don't want to waste time figuring out how to do it the next time you have to do it, especially if it's really time consuming to figure out all the steps that you need to take the first time around. If you just document those steps, you'll have that for next time. Like, for instance, website related tasks like you know the DNS settings of a website. That's super technical. Shawna and I have been on calls, troubleshooting DNS settings before, and yeah, it's just like that's an example of like some very technical tasks that once you have the steps down, it just makes it so much easier next time if you document. So,
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally hear that. And it's when you're going through the learning of it and it's like, oh, how do I work this out? And then you get it, it's like, oh yeah, I've got it. Right, now I move on to the next step without going back and go, now how did I get there? And then I'll come back the next time and like, oh damn, why didn't I write that down?
Yeah,
Or record it in some way. I'm gonna have to hop off in about 5 minutes. Just thought I'd let you know.
sure.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks again for sharing that, Lucy. And yeah, I think I said it. It's like for your future self, you know, and you're gonna save that mental load, time, and energy. And so, did you
Yeah.
have something you want to add?
Oh, you want any, all right, strike that. Melissa, would you like to share any other thoughts?
I was just gonna kind of remind again, and we talked about this last week too, but as always, a good reminder is that systems do evolve. And I think we've all been in a spot before where we've built a process, it looked
Hmm.
amazing, and either you go through it once or twice and you realize like, oh wow, that didn't turn out how I thought, or 6 months down the line, nobody's
Hmm.
in that process. You know, so that's where it's very important to remember, you don't create a system and leave it. It's always important to observe what's going on, make improvements, and update it. We talked about this last week. Version 1 compared to version 5 be very different, but that's okay. You think about it like version 1, that's help addressing the immediate need. And then by version 5, that's you're getting into the flow more so. And so I just like to give that reminder, that's happened to me several times. I create a process that's beautiful in our project board, or it's beautiful in my brain on paper. And then the first time we run it, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't like that. And then I'm quick to blame myself, but it's like, no, that's part of it. Like when you put it into real life. And so it's just a reminder that, it's process, your systems always evolve, and what I always do is when that happens, I update the SOP, I update the system, communicate it with our team or, who needs to be involved, and we keep going
Yeah,
on. So,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, essentially what Melissa's saying is she's saying two things, that systems have a life cycle. Like at a certain point, maybe you're outgrowing the system, your business. Maybe when you started, you had 2 clients, and now that you have 7 clients, it requires adjustments to receive more clients. There's maintenance, links break, there's adjustments to be made. But I see those things as good things, because number one, let's say you're still building out, figuring out what's working. You're kind of setting the table. Even if you make mistakes, I like to say you're falling forward. You're still like, because you're learning, and and as you get it down, it's just like riding a bike, right? And then if you have to make like certain adjustments to your system to be able to receive more, set the table. As there's a saying, I don't know, many years ago I saw, like, you want to widen your platform as much as possible, widen it to receive as much as possible. Like, so you got to set the table. Are you setting up table for one, or is it table for six? And so obviously, where at whatever stage you are, if it's early on, you could have set up your business, a platform. It's just a table for two, let's just say, right? But when it's not, now when you're talking like, 10, 20 tables, because your business is coming in, you have to set up a system to deliver. be consistent, everything we talked about, the accuracy, consistency, to be able to deliver for those clients. And obviously it affects your revenue like in a great way. I think like I could remember like when we first started, the moment we realized that just the two of us wasn't going to be enough. We received like these requests from the clients, and we were like, it was like this big mountain of data crunching. I was like, there's just no way we're going to be able to deliver. We got to hire. It's a good problem. Yeah, it's a good puzzle. Like it was like we realized at that moment, we said, wow, like we got to really get it going. And so we had to figure it out fast, and we did. And as a result of solving those kinds of puzzles for our own growth, our own company, that's the experience we want to share. I'll go back to the very beginning. When we first started, the first project we got, it was a small list that somebody wanted to organize. And, from that one project, it grew, and, we went to a team of 20 plus data specialists. And that couldn't have happened without organizing the small projects first. And so you just kind of scaffold on it. So you don't have to have it all figured out. But what you do need is to be open to a system, and then intentionally understanding where this is going, like understanding like when you start implementing different a system to different areas, maybe like your email marketing, some automations there, your texting, to your, all those that right there is huge. I mean, how long does it take to communicate manually to people? That's a lot of time. So those are just uh, ways of systemizing your tasks. Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, I really just wanted to, this kind of follows up with what David said. I just really wanted to make sure I closed with, or, that everyone left knowing that systems aren't just for large teams, but basically what David just said, whether you're a team of 1 or a team of 20, systems simply answer the question of where do things go next? And, that's what really, that's the importance of systems there. So yeah, thanks for joining us, Lucy.
I'll chime in. Oh, go ahead, Lucy, please.
I was just going to say thank you. Feels like a a session just for me. It's nice.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're happy to be able to do that today with you. Yeah, so I'll add that talking about systems, and we are always, by Lucy, even just today, I got a new request from an existing client, and they're like, hey, I have this project, and I had to think about, okay, what's the system for this? Because I'm not the specialist. Our team are the specialists. And so the system is I reach out to the right people on the team who can support with this, and then kind of coordinate, like, okay, have them talk with the client, and then there we go. The client is getting the support they need. And that's just like one small example of a system.
I want to add a little something, a little more specific. It wasn't just a request today. It was an urgent request. In other words, it's a little fire, right? Metaphorically speaking, there's a fire that needs to be put out. Someone reaching out, hey, MTZ, we need a bucket of water, like now. And that's what we're here to provide for. See, we're set up to be able to address something urgent for the client. And we wouldn't be able, we have a Zoom call right now, right? We're like on, how is it that we're able to address the urgency of the client right now as we speak in real time? It's because we have a system. They have a fire that's needs to be put out as we speak right now. But our system is already at work so right now, this conversation we're having with you on Zoom is a perfect example, a very practical, a very problem-solving example of how we help our clients when they break down and they're relying on us to solve that for them. And this is important. Like, this particular client, it's a very big account, and this, could affect maybe 100 people, maybe 500 people on their end. So we're very much aware of the how sensitive and how delicate and how serious this could affect their business. So that's why we really we're really dedicated to having a system in our company that works. We're like always paying attention to how to improve upon the process so that seamlessly we can respond to our client at that moment of need. And
Yeah, it helps us be responsive, and yeah, like an urgent request comes in, we're able to support that even urgent request.
Yeah.
We're able to do other things like be on this call.
Yeah, and give the client that confidence, that calm, that peace that they know that they reach out to us, that we're going to take care of it for them. So that's for us, that's like gold, you know?
Yeah, I want to add too, because I know you were talking about when we had a first project where we needed to bring on additional support. And that was a system, just even like, okay, we're gonna bring on extra people and have like these kind of like guidelines of like who would be the best fit to work with us and represent us with our clients and to actually deliver on the client requests and produce accurate, consistent output for the client. And those were some of the early systems that we implemented was around hiring and putting together an agreement for the team member, and then what happens next, and then getting them the project details and getting them set up with everything they need to deliver on the project successfully. And
Quality assurance.
We have a system for that. That's very, very big, is our project management and our quality assurance. And yeah, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, just I look at it, I look at quality assurance as the path to the touchdown. Like we deliver for the client delivers for their client. And that means one thing and one thing only, touchdown. So our client success is our success. If our client wins, we win. So we have an interest in making sure that we give our client, the very best service that we could possibly give them, because we know that if they do a great job, we support them in the right way, that they're going to grow their business. And and as a result, we continue to support them, and so yeah, that's like it's principle. It really is.
And I'll add that each of our client they're very unique, and our approach is we take like a customized approach, and we look at everything that's going on that with the business, our client's business, and we just really customize the type of support, the levels of support, the systems needed based on their goals. And so if that sounds interesting to you, we do offer a 15-minute free discovery call where we can discuss maybe some systems you might like to implement, or if you know that things could be done more efficiently and maybe you're just super busy or you're not sure where to start. Sometimes you know exactly what needs to happen, but you don't have the time, or sometimes you're not really sure. And so we love to get on with people get on a call and discuss those things, and if it's a good fit, we might end up working together. And typically what that could look like is we could do a business intensive. And in a business intensive, we spend we have a pre-intensive questionnaire to get to help us learn a little more about your business and all the unique things about your business. And then we get on a 2-hour call and we just really take a deep dive and see and put together like this really awesome plan, roadmap, blueprint to set you up for success. And whatever that might look like for you. Sometimes it's even scaling, like with some of our clients, we've supported them through from scaling, 20 million, 80 million. Some clients, it's exiting their company for over 10 million. And some clients, it's just helping them sleep better at night. So it's different for different people, and we are here for all of it. And
Yeah.
yeah, you want to add something?
Yeah, and I just want to add that. Let me share another way to think about the intensive. The impact and the benefit of an intensive. And the way I describe it is like if you had some land and you were going to build a house, the contractors wouldn't show up and just start building the house. First, you would hire, a draftsman or an architect to draw out for you a blueprint. And once you have the blueprint, then the contractors follow the building out the house, right? And so the same thing is with the intensive. Is what we do is we create a blueprint for this is where your business is. This is what we believe is going to get you to your goal. So we design the system for you and you have visibility. You can see it like even in phases of, okay, we're going to work on this phase first, this phase second, if you wanted to move forward with us. But it's customized to you. And then implementation, step 2 would be implementation would be after the design, after the intensive, the blueprint is built out, and the impact, the benefits of that are many. First and foremost, there's no guessing. We're clear on both sides as to what needs to be accomplished. We're gonna
designing a system
yeah.
for your
Yeah.
success
We're
for
designing
the next 3
exactly.
months, 6 months, 9 months.
You can look at it like a blueprint. You could look at it like a roadmap. You could look at it like a path. There's many ways. The point is, it's the path to get you to the touchdown, because that's really where you want to get to. And so we save time. You also save money because you're not like we're not guessing, and we're not spending time in areas that we shouldn't be. We're focused, we're dialed in, we're targeting exactly what we want to accomplish, and we're trying to work as efficiently as possible. So, and then there's once again, like I talk about this clarity that comes with the blueprint, the intensive. And that clarity also gives you peace of mind. Like, okay, I know what I need to do. I know where we're going. If we're building it out for you, you know what stage what stage it is, because it's right in front of you. We're like meeting. We have a point of contact. For example, let's say Melissa. Let's say she's the point of contact on that project, and you're meeting with her maybe weekly, maybe bi-weekly, maybe monthly, depending. Maybe a little more in the beginning of the project, and then as the project gains momentum, and maybe it's weekly or bi-weekly after, depending. John Paul, he's on the back end,
Yeah.
connecting things, building things out for you.
And I'd like to also add that
Mhm.
the way we design this plan, this blueprint, it's designed for you to go ahead and take that and implement it yourself, or with your own team or some other team. So, and
Yeah.
it's basically, what are some things that will really help move the needle in your business? and a path for that.
Yeah, the intensive, you can definitely, it's autonomous. You can definitely use it with another team. If you choose to work with MTZ, you can do that as well. And so I just want to say one more time, I want to share with you that I encourage you to book a free 15-minute discovery call with us and hop on a call and share, we could do a brainstorm and, get you find some clarity for you.
Well, so thanks for watching today, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much.